Welcome to Crushing with Abby O. I'm your host, Abby O'Sullivan, a longtime beauty pro turned wellness and lifestyle coach here to help you expand your self-care. You deserve to have the wildly successful career, amazing relationships, and life you desire without sacrificing your own health and well-being. Join me in the no burnout zone to create the lifestyle you desire, filled with elevated energy, confidence, improved health, and self-care habits you'll actually stay consistent with. I'm so excited you're here. Let's get started. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Crushing with Abby O. And today's topic is something that I really do enjoy talking about. I enjoy discussing it with people because it is something that a lot of people do kind of feel challenged by. I mean, I've definitely felt challenged by it in my life, and it is boundaries, setting boundaries. I know, super sexy topic, right? But actually they really can be when you realize that setting boundaries is helping you restore your energy or retain your energy and your time and even your feelings of self-worth. I hear from a lot of women that when we're talking about health and feeling well is that they don't feel like they have the energy or the capacity or time enough to spend on their health and self-care. And they've spent a lot of time in these all or nothing cycles, like doing so good. And then it just all falls apart. You know, life happens, things happen, stress happens. Or they really struggle with the overwhelm of like what all they should or could be doing with their health and self-care on top of everything else that they have going on in their lives. Women really are expected to do a lot. There's information coming in from all angles as well. You know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, your neighbor, the people you work with, the media, there's so much information. Women are on the go, doing, and tired, but not just energy wise, like your get up and go energy, just like drained. And all the spinning and going can catch up to you in the form of physical, mental, and emotional symptoms like fatigue, irritability, weight gain, increased stress and inflammation in the body, which could feel like more aches and pains, more tension, feeling mentally and emotionally overwhelmed and scattered, and even upset digestion, like your bowels are off. And there's a couple of things that can be happening there, but the stress of going in the constant fight or flight that your body is in will catch up to you and have you feeling really like not yourself. But then it goes on for so long that you're like, I guess this is just the way this is just me. This is just the way I am. This is what everyone else feels like, right? As an adult. But we're just normalizing feeling like crap. But I know you know that you can feel better. And I know that you want to feel better and you want to make time and you want to have the capacity, but how? It's a cycle that I've been through myself a few times, overgiving and overworking until I was just burned out mentally and physically feeling like crap and, having low self-esteem. And there's plenty of examples that I can give, but I mean, you can always ask me if you're curious, but I've probably shared some of them on the podcast over the time. But it really leads back to boundaries. Setting boundaries can help you get time and energy to take care of yourself and your health. And you can have what you want, whatever your goals are, by setting boundaries that help you focus on your goals and filter out the distractions. This could look like boundaries with your business, work, other people, financially, and even with yourself. For many people, boundaries can be challenging in certain areas because we often don't know what to say, haven't set a boundary in that way before, or we feel nervous, guilty, ashamed, or embarrassed, or even anxious around setting a boundary. Or maybe you've been made to feel wrong for setting boundaries before. Like even thinking about it can bring up certain feelings in your body and you're like, nope, 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 nope. So the boundary doesn't get set and things stay the same, but we'll sprinkle some resentment in there because we're like, damn it. If you're feeling a bit nervous, you're not alone. I've felt that way and even still do sometimes when I know I need to like reiterate a boundary, or maybe it's something where I realize like, oh, I need to go ahead and place a boundary here. Sometimes I still get a little bit nervous about that, even though I know it's for my own good. But if you feel some sensations and emotions around boundaries that keep you from setting them, know that this is a nervous system response. Your brain and your nervous system simply want to keep you safe. That is their job. So doing something different can feel like an even bigger deal than the discomfort of what you were already experiencing or know that you will experience. The path already taken is less, quote, dangerous. We also tend to create stories around the outcome. Like they're going to react this way if I do this, but you don't even know that. So we create that story in our head and that exacerbates those feelings of dread or just danger or like, no, I don't want to fucking do that. It is a fun hamster wheel, quote, fun hamster wheel of nervous system and stories created to confirm why we shouldn't do the thing and just avoid it. If boundaries were not modeled to you growing up, you may not feel comfortable expressing your boundaries because there never were any in your house. Or maybe when you spoke up, your boundaries were not acknowledged. Heck, maybe you're like me and you didn't even realize the concept of boundaries really existed for the longest time. In school, we were taught to say no to drugs. But when else was I ever taught that I could say no? I think I learned from like some after school specials about saying no to men when I felt compromised, or like no to strangers. But how often have you felt really intimidated by saying no to a man? Let's go down this path for a moment because I believe the root of a lot of us having trouble with boundaries is how we are taught to act to be a good girl, a good person, kind person. Of value to society and to men, to our partner. Be polite, smile, don't be rude, don't talk back, make sure others are happy with themselves, happy with you. Like, how am I responsible for everyone else's happiness? If I'm strolling through the gym and a man is looking at me, do I polite smile or do I just keep whatever expression I have on my face? Am I friendly or a bitch? Will he hit on me or confront me? Or is it nothing at all? If I'm walking down the street in a restaurant alone, same thing. There's so many things that we have to think about as women. I don't know the male experience, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak as a woman that this shit can be intimidating. It's a problem. Within the parental construct, I can understand parents are trying not to let us be shitheads, plus generational hand-me-down behaviors and values, but it leaves very little room for being your own person with personal boundaries, having to give hugs or kisses or meet people when we as children are uncomfortable with that. I'm sure this depends on culture within the family or culture in general, where you live in the world. So obviously I don't want to generalize too much here. And of course we all have different personalities, but this is a pretty common conversation and revelation for many women. When it comes to setting boundaries, understanding where your boundaries, whether that's a lack of or soft boundaries or even rigid boundaries, understanding where they come from is really helpful so that you can begin to shift where you need to. For me, a lack of boundaries meant I took too many clients. I took forever to have real business policies and lost income because of that. I ended up in physical pain from working too much. I took on business deals that were not good for me or entertained guys that sucked. And I drank too much sometimes. My lack of boundaries was rooted in low self-worth and needing external validation. If I do this, then they will like me and I am successful and worthy. If I do this, then they will like me and I will be worthy of love and attention. Telling people no is scary. That's another one. I've done the work enough to know where this stems from, and the awareness of it was incredibly enlightening. Oh, here's another one. I can power through. Have you ever said that or thought that? Like the bad date, the bad sex, the job you've hated forever, the extra drink when you were going to have just one, the project you took on voluntarily knowing you have zero capacity for it. It's okay. I got it. It's not a big deal. We're so good at that. Like women are so good at just saying like, I will take care of this and that and all of you got too. I'm not saying that you don't have it. And I'm not saying that you can't push through. I'm saying that you do this at the expense of your own health and well-being so much that it's like, why? Is it really worth it? There is a time and a place for this. And if you're going to push yourself through anything, can it be for taking time for lunch or some other form of beneficial self-care like sleep or exercise? I say this with a lot of love, really, because I do care. I do care about your health and your well-being. And I see women being stretched thin so much and just exhausted so much. And I know I have my own experiences, but I see it happening to other people. And so that's why I love this conversation so much. And I just want you to feel more empowered around setting boundaries so that you really can take care of yourself, so that you can do all the things that you want, so you can create the impact, raise the family, and still have like some semblance of like life force for yourself. You know, all of the pushing through is continue to disconnect you from yourself and what you really want that you've been ignoring. So let's take a deep breath in right now. Especially when I've been ranting a little bit. Let's decide right now that you are worthy. You are worthy of taking time for yourself and your health. You are worthy of speaking up for what you need and continually honoring that. It's not selfish. It's how you can thrive versus simply survive 90% of the time. It's how you can deepen your self-love and appreciation and your self-worth and feel good and lift yourself up into that version of you in your head that's just always kicking ass, but like kicking ass and feeling good while you're doing it. Boundaries come more easily from knowing what you value. And you can apply this to your wellness and self-care practices. You can apply this to your business. You can apply this to your relationships. Decide your non-negotiables. And some questions that you can ask yourself and answer are, what are your goals, your needs, your wants, your desires for your health and self-care, for example? What's really important to you in that area? What do you truly want time and energy to do? What's the dream day? And what would make you feel fulfilled and satisfied in that area? What's pulling energy? Where do you feel drained? This can help you form an assessment, not for bad or good, but just as a bird's eye view of what's going on currently. Where could I lay a boundary, set a boundary, and shift something to benefit my well-being? There's all kinds of ways and reasons to set boundaries, but you need to determine what you do and you don't want first. What you value is really the key to living in alignment and more easily setting boundaries. So connect with that. Sit in silence, go for a walk, take a shower, let this all swirl around. And I would encourage you to write it all out. Self-care and health goals can shift too over time. So maybe you'll need to revisit this often for a little tune-up, or you can revisit it to reset your focus, like remember your why, essentially. Once you've established your standards, your non-negotiables, now it's time to determine what you need for that to happen. And it might feel weird at first, asking for help, blocking your schedule, taking time away from others or family. Okay, but you can do this. Again, your nervous system and your brain are remarkable, but they might need a little push to do the thing. They can be expanded, that like they can be rewired. So challenge the stories around asking for help. This is like an example of asking for help from a partner. Is he really going to be upset, think that you're weak or incapable, or is he waiting to step into a leadership role and help so you can feel good? He wants you to feel good, right? And of course, a supportive partner does make a difference here. That's, it's a pretty general example. Or setting boundary with alcohol. No is a complete sentence. No, thank you. No, thank you. I don't drink. No, thank you. I prefer, ABCD drink. Saying no to alcohol is people can project onto you. So just stay true to you and your desires. You are enough, more than enough, amazing, awesome, funny, just as you are. And you know what you don't want is the after effect, the feeling of not being in control, the regret. You love the clear head, the focus that you have, the sleep that you get, how your body is responding, and how your mental health is thriving. So always remember that. I mean, especially with alcohol, because I have experience with that myself too. It's just weird how people project onto you and you're like, no, I would rather not. It's so accepted in society, right? Think about how much better could it be. Another example is for business, saying no to a client you can't fit in or don't want to fit in for whatever your reason is. You don't even have to over-explain it. No, I'm sorry that time is unavailable. My days/hours are, and I'd be happy to schedule you within those times. Copy and paste texts and automations are really helpful here. And remember that it's not personal, it's business. You can't make everyone happy all the time, and you aren't responsible for that. You also can't work all hours of the day. Like, you do have a life outside of your business. Having business policies is normal. You are simply enforcing your business policies as you have set and communicated. It doesn't have to be defended and over-explained. And if people are triggered by that, if they get all up in arms, then that is their issue. And they can always take their business elsewhere, because if you want respect, you deserve it. If you don't want respect, then take the clients that walk all over you. Now, of course, some boundaries are going to be easier to set than others. In most cases, once you do it, you'll be like, wow, I survived and that wasn't so bad. Let's view boundaries as a tool for your well-being, for pursuing your goals, for protecting your time and your energy. It is an ongoing process to establish and sometimes reestablish, and that's okay. I would love to know, when is a time that you set a boundary that you were nervous about it and it created a big impact for you in a positive way? Or where is an area that you have trouble with boundaries? Pop into my DMs. I would love to chat about this. And I would also love to give a book recommendation here. It's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nidra Glover Tawwab. And hopefully I did not totally butcher her name. But it's a great book, and she has an incredible platform on Instagram. She just shares so much information, like things that you're like, yes, I feel seen. And yes, I was struggling with that. Thank you. Like, just helpful tips and reminders. So find her on Instagram, buy the book if you're interested in really expanding your knowledge and comfort with boundaries. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful for you. I do plan to record an episode about boundaries with and within your business as well, because I know, as a passionate and driven business owner myself, that is something that I've had to learn, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So we'll have a separate episode for that. But in the meantime, have an amazing day. Go crush it, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to Crushing with Abio. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review. As always, you can connect with me on Instagram at Coach Abio, or drop me an email at hello@crushingpodcast.com.